Oh, he knocked him out! Oh, shit! Oh! What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Combat Lounge. I'm your host, Phil Robinson. With me is Cade Morehouse. Cade, what's up, brother? How you doing?
What's up, man? Everything's good. What about you?
Oh, we're missing the third leg over here, but we got to give a shout out to the homeboy, Two Belt Tone. Got his feet up nice and high on the couch, I'm sure, with his eyes closed, doing absolutely nothing. But it's all right. We just need him to rest up and get healthy, and he'll be with us as soon as he can. But we're going to jump right into this and take care of some old house cleaning because it's been a minute since we've been on. It's been a minute since we pumped out some content and brought it to you. So we're going to start out with one of the hottest topics in UFC, or at least what was the decision between Sugar Sean O'Malley and Peter Yan. And Henry Cejudo brought up how he would be able to beat the dog shit out of Sean O'Malley with injured fighters' body parts.
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. Yeah, Jan and O'Malley, that was a war. That really came down to the first round, in my opinion. The second round was Jan's. The third was O'Malley's. The fight should have been decided off the first round. It was very close. It looked like it was going Jan's way. O'Malley finished strong in the round. And I think that was the big toss-up. A lot of people had Jan and thought that it wasn't close, but I went back and watched the fight. It was much closer than everyone thought it was. And that fight, I think that fight got scored off damage. And if we're going off damage, I think O'Malley took the damage card. So I think that's why he took the fight. And he's an up and comer. He makes a lot of money for this company, and he markets himself really well. And it was a very close fight. He basically came in and fought the number one guy in the world and never fought anybody like that. And he put on a show and got the victory, and here we are.
No doubt, no doubt. So let's move on, because I felt pretty much the same way when you looked at that fight. It was a very close fight, and it was one of those deals where every time O'Malley looked to start kind of trying to pull away and put together a big combination, that Yan would just come right back with a combination of his own. And at the end of that fight, at the end of that decision, you looked at O'Malley, and you could tell that he had been in a fight. There wasn't none of the same usual bravado, none of the look at me's. That man was like, "Yo, this dude almost beat my ass."
Even in the post fight press conference, they were asking him like, "What's next for you? Do you want this title shot?" And he looked straight at the media. He said, "Look, guys, I'm going to give the people what they want, and they want me to be champion. But I got a headache right now. I'm not thinking about my next fight." So
I'm thinking about getting out of here, getting this aspirin, and getting some ice on the side of my melon. This fool's beating my ass.
yeah, I mean, they were asking him about his next fight after a complete war and what is it, from Abu Dhabi to Arizona, where he stays at, the flight. He still has that travel home. He's not thinking about anything other than just getting home and relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, war.
Soaking up that W. But so to the next order of business, I'll switch it up just a little bit. We'll go with this one out of order. Is Jake Paul further along than we give him credit for in the fight game? You look at what he's doing in terms of the money he's making as an amateur, the caliber of fighters. Now we'll call a spade and say he may not be fighting boxers, but he's fighting former MMA champions and guys who are technically making their debuts or within the same career marks in their amateur careers. Anderson Silva had 4 fights. Jake Paul had 4 fights. Anderson Silva might be old enough to actually be his dad. And for much of the fight, he beat him like he was his dad.
Um, so to answer the question, uh, yes, I think Jake Paul is further along than people give him credit for. Like him, hate him, doesn't matter. I was standing there at the open workout, and the kid's got potential, and he's got hands, and he's got a lot of power in his hands, and I think he is further along than people think. Now, has he fought a real boxer? No. But this is a kid that had no experience in fighting at all. Boxing, mixed martial arts, nothing. He was training, he was fighting YouTube guys, then he fought like Ben Askren and some stuff like that. But I mean, he's fighting guys that have fought. Now, boxing is different than mixed martial arts. I get that, but he's still going out there and doing it. And say what you want, he dropped Anderson Silva in the last round. If you would have told me this kid would come into this fight and drop Silva, now some people maybe would have thought that would happen, but I personally was not one of the ones that thought he was going to come in there and put Anderson Silva on his pocket. So you got to give him credit. He fought a good fight and he got the decision.
Yes, he did. And he's fought impressively and fought good fights. He's taken a lot more shots over the course of these last couple fights that he's taken, especially as he stepped up and fought better competition. I mean, fighting Ty Woodley, he wasn't gonna just come out there and mollywop him, was he? I mean, you really wouldn't think that. But he went out there and he made it a good one. What's up, Milky Breezy? We got one in the comments section. But and in doing that, I watched him. I watched a couple of his fights against the YouTubers, and I'm not ashamed to admit it because I was just curious. Because let's be real, you look at the Jake Paul boys, the Paul boys from back, and like somebody, I just want to see somebody whoop their ass. And then when he fought the first dude, I was like, okay, maybe that dude couldn't fight, but he looks like he could fight. He looks like he could fight a little bit. So then the next fight, he got a little bit more training. And I was like, everybody's talking. I was like, God, there's something there. I was like, I think he's a lot better. He's just scratching the surface, but I can see it. And every fight he's gotten better. Every fight he's gotten sharper, and every fight, the competition that he stepped up in has been tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that goes for not just Jake but his brother is they're just athletic. They're freak athletes, and they both got balls. I mean,
Logan is a whole nother topic for another show.
yeah, it is. But I mean, they're just
Logan alone.
that is a different topic. But they both are athletic, and they both, like I said, they both have balls, and money talks to those boys, and they'll do anything to get it.
And more importantly, they have the art of self promotion down. Nobody can promote the Paul brothers better than they can. Nobody. They are promoting ththemselves on a completely different level than anybody else has ever done before. In fact, that's how low. That's how they have been able to rise to the heights that they have. Said who gets to fight Floyd whenever they want to. That's not how that works.
No.
You don't call Floyd out and say, Floyd, let's fight. He says, you know what? Let's fight. That's not how that works. You don't walk up to Triple H and say, you know what, I want a title shot. Not only do I want a title shot, I want a title shot in Saudi Arabia in an event that's just been deemed more profitable than WrestleMania. And say that I want to take on Roman Reigns, arguably, not even arguably, far and away the best wrestler in the world today.
Yeah, those boys they know what they're doing. They know exactly, and I mean, this is different topic too, but like look, like Jake, for instance, like when he calls out Diaz and he calls out Canelo and whoever he's calling out, Masvidal, all those guys, and people go, oh, he doesn't want that. Put the money in his face. He wants it. He'll do it. He'll do it. He's, you know, he's doing a fantastic job of early on in his career, and I think he will continue to do so. So if you hate him or you love him, it doesn't matter because he's going to continue doing what he's doing, and you guys are going to keep continuing to tune in.
Waiting to see somebody knock his ass out, if nothing else.
You might be waiting a while. Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see. But we are going to keep it pushing and go and hit the main topic for tonight, which is to preview the UFC 281 card. And we want to start off with Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. What are your thoughts on that, Cade?
Last time Michael Chandler was in Madison Square Garden, he had one of the best fights I've seen against Justin Gaethje. And Justin Gaethje and Dustin Poirier had a fight, and that was also a war. I'm not assuming I know this is going to be the people's main event. This is going to steal the show. This is going to be a war between two guys that don't care for each other. And they don't care for each other because Dustin feels that Michael got into the UFC and got whatever he wanted right away and didn't earn it. And Michael Chandler feels different. Michael feels, I was the leader of Bellator for years. And I came here to the UFC, and every single fight I've been in has been exciting. Now, I believe he's 2-2 in the UFC, I want to say. But every single fight that he's fought in has been very, very, very exciting. And I really think this fight is going to be the best fight on the card, and it won't be close.
Won't be close. Wow, that's high praise. So tell me, what about Weili Zhang and Carla Esparza?
Well, that fight's for me is one of two ways, and I'm not always right, but if Carla can figure out a way to get it to the ground, that's her fight. If it stays standing, I think Weili dominates on the feet just like Carla dominates on the ground. That's how I see that fight playing out. But Weili's got a lot to prove. She's 1-2 in her last fights. She lost 2 fights to Rose, and she had a fight against Joanna. And after that fight, Joanna retired. She was at the end of her career, and she got herself another title shot. A lot of people don't agree with it, but Weili's good, and she can win this fight. And she's the favorite by quite a bit on the sports books. But if this fight goes to the ground, I think it will be a long, long night for Weili. But if this fight stays standing, I think it's going to be a long, long night for Carla. We'll have to see. The last time Carla Esparza fought, it was the boringest fight I've ever seen in UFC history. And if you think any MMA fight is boring, I'd call you crazy. But I was sitting in the arena and I almost fell asleep. That should tell you something. I'm not one to ever say an MMA fight was boring. So I think the way that she won the belt was under some kind of different circumstances. But the champion didn't go out there and prove that she was the champion and necessarily win the fight either. So I think Carla has a lot to prove this time that, hey, I am the champion. I deserve to be the champion. So yeah, an interesting fight. But it's gonna. I think it'll go one of those two ways, and we're gonna find out Saturday night.
Nice. Then that gets us to the main event, the actual main event: Israel Adesanya versus Alex Pereira.
Yeah, that fight right there. is a crazy fight. I say it's crazy because they fought 2 times in professional kickboxing back before Izzy became a mixed martial artist and before Alex became a mixed martial artist. They were professional kickboxers. They fought twice. Alex beat him in decision, and Alex caught him and knocked him out. Um, and Izzy was winning the fight before Alex knocked him out. He got caught. Alex has a great amount of power. His power is unmatched in this fight. If so, the question in this fight is how's it going to play out? Now, what Alex has going for him is that he's lengthy and he's as big as Israel, maybe even bigger in terms of size. And Izzy's never fought. I don't think he's fought anyone as lengthy or close to his size, except for maybe Anderson. But Anderson was at the tail end of his career, so I don't. Not that I don't count it, but it's just he didn't. It wasn't the Anderson Silva that we were used to, and in his prime. So, but then their questions are. Is Alex Pereira's gas tank good enough to fight a 5-round fight against Izzy and put out the volume that is going to need to be put out to beat Izzy in a 5-round fight if it goes to decision? So if this fight goes Alex Pereira's way and I had to take a guess, I would say first 2 rounds are his best chance. The longer this goes is the better for Izzy. And the other scenarios is Izzy's lost 2 times to this guy. Is he going to fight Israel Adesanya's style of fight and fight at his pace like he fights everyone else and force Alex to come to him and he's going to, be defensive and counter and stuff like that? Or is Izzy going to push the pace and put more volume than he usually does and potentially put himself out there to get caught? That remains to be seen. We will also find out on Saturday night, but that's also an interesting fight. I don't know how that's going to play out. Israel Adesanya has been very impressive during his reign as champion, but at the same time, I don't think he's fought someone this dangerous stylistically, because this fight's going to be a kickboxing match. In an MMA.
Absolutely, and more to the point, it is a very, very at this point it's not even a question of skill as much as it is a mental game, because Alex Pereira should be all in his head, and if he's not, then I would have to. Hey, he's preparing for his fight. But I would be all in his head. I'd be like, man, you've had a great the weigh-ins. Like, man, you've had a great career in the UFC. You've done all of this, and you got these 2 belts, and you got it all right here waiting for me, so that I can have this big moment, step in here and beat you for the 3rd time and take my belt from that I let you hold. And I'd be all in this man's psyche until I weirded him out, till all he could think of was losing.
Yeah, and it's tough to say how this is going to go, but I'll say this: Izzy he's big for the middleweight division in terms of his length and everything like that. Not a lot of people in the middleweight division have the length that he has. They're more stocky, whatever. But it's been very hard for fighters to take him down and try to expose his game, because he uses his distance. He controls the distance very, very well. But in this fight, it's almost like, can he control the distance with the guy that's just as lengthy as him, and more powerful than he's ever seen? This Alex Pereira dude's got, like I said, his power is unmatched. So if someone's going to sleep in this fight, I think it could very well be Izzy. But if Izzy wins, I think it's going to be by decision. That's just how I see the fight playing out. But
did he fight Jan Blachowicz for the light heavyweight title? or something like that.
Yeah, and Jan showed that he was the bigger dude. He controlled Izzy on the ground, was able to do what he wanted.
Right.
Jan Blachowicz is a pretty big dude. So I mean, when he matched up against Izzy was a little bit taller, but Jan was just bigger, more powerful, stronger. He was able to do things that some of these guys just aren't able to do to Izzy in the middleweight division. And Izzy had to move up to 205 to take that fight. But this is a big dude in the middleweight division too. I think Alex Pereira walks around at like 235 pounds, 240 pounds. He's a really big dude. So I think I saw a picture of him not too long ago where he was at 225, 230, and then a picture at him at 185, and he is a real big dude. And he's lengthy. He's tall. I think he's taller than Israel.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very interesting fight. I don't know if Izzy's going to be. We'll see what Izzy's game plan is to how he's going to attack him. But this is a legacy fight for Israel Adesanya, nothing less. And maybe we see Izzy come out and put the pressure on him, and maybe leave himself open to get caught. I don't know. That fight's interesting.
Yes, it is. And speaking of legacy fights, we are going to get a chance to bear witness to the end, the final stamp on the legacy of one Frankie the Answer Edgar. He's scheduled to fight Chris Gutierrez in what's going to be his last match in the UFC before he retires. What do you got for this one?
He's fighting a hungry dude, and I wish him the best on Saturday. That dude's a legend. He's done a lot in the sport. He will be in the UFC Hall of Fame. That's no questions asked. He's had a lot of wars, fought a lot of people, won a lot of fights, put on a lot of exciting fights, and congratulations to Frankie Edgar on a great career. I wish him the best after this fight. And I don't normally come out and say on here that I want guys to win or anything like that, but I'm rooting for him on Saturday night. Let's get the win and go out on top. Frankie the Answer Edgar.
There it is. Frankie the Answer Edgar going out on top, riding into the sunset, all of that funny shit. You got anything else for the fine people?
No, that pretty much covers everything.
Thank you for tuning in to the Combat Lounge. I'm Phil, he's Cade, and we are out.
Oh, now fires back. Oh, there's Fury with the right hand. Wilder's hurt. He wobbled. He almost fell over into the ropes. He is close to going out. He got